Brothers and sisters in Christ, welcome to a new video. My name is Brother Daniel, and today we're going to be talking about Moses' story. A throwback from last video, we learned about Joseph. We learned that after many struggles, after becoming a slave, after going to prison, through the power of God, Joseph, he interpreted the dreams of the Pharaoh, and if so, he was able to become the governor of Egypt. Thanks to his acts, and thanks for him to understanding that 7 years of famine will come upon Egypt, Joseph was able to successfully help the Egyptians to survive that period. And with that, the Pharaoh blessed Joseph and all of his family, including his brothers and his parents. So, this happened for many generations. The Israelites, they grew up inside of Egypt, and the pharaohs, they were kind of like grateful for them. But it came a new generation of a pharaoh that he didn't remember how grateful he should be about the Israelites. And because he saw they were becoming kind of like numerous among Egypt and they started to have political influence, he decided to turn them into slaves and, more than that, kill their firstborn sons. With that, the Egyptians, they ordered to kill all of the babies that were born as males, and because of that, the mother of Moses, that she was an Israelite, she wanted to save her baby, and with that, she sent Moses in a basket along the Nile River, hoping to survive. What happened is that when the baby arrived through the Nile River, he was caught by one of the daughters of the Pharaoh, which immediately adopted the baby and raised him as her own son. And because of this, Moses, he had like a privileged growth. Later on, as he grew up in Egypt, he learned about that he was an Israelite. He learned what happened to the Israelites, how good they have been to Egypt, and how this new Pharaoh was kind of punish them and make them slaves unfairly. One day, Moses, he was walking by at night and he saw an Egyptian soldier striking an Israelite. With that, he went to protect the Israelite, and it happened that he killed the Pharaoh soldier. With that, Moses, he could not escape, although he was kind of like the son of the Pharaoh. Everyone wanted to kill him, and if so, he ran away, and he went away from Egypt. While he went away, he passed through a place where some women, they were kind of like having some sheep, and there were some people, they were striking out the sheep, scaring the sheep away. And what happened is that Moses, he went there and he protected those girls and the sheep, and because of that, their father, which was Jethro, was really grateful and thankful that Moses was able to protect his daughters and his sheep, and because of that, he gave to Moses his daughter, and Moses got married. Moses, he grew up now outside of Egypt, and when he was older, one day he had a vision in the flaming bush. Through the bush, he saw God himself, Jehovah, that was telling him that he needed to get the freedom of his people, liberate his people from the captivity of Egypt. So the Lord told Moses that will come some plagues to Egypt if the Pharaoh will not free the Israelites. And what happened is that Moses, one by one, was starting to give plagues as a sign for the Pharaoh to convince him to free the Israelites. The first plague was turning the Nile River into blood. If you think about, the Nile River was the main source kind of life for the Egyptians, where they could get their fish, where they could grow their agriculture, their plants. So the Nile was their source of life. And Moses, together with his brother Aaron, together to put his rod on the river, they turned it into blood. Even so, the heart of the Pharaoh was hardened. The second, it was the frogs, which were kind of like a symbolism of the mockery to the gods of Egypt, and show that the God of Moses was kind of like stronger than the gods of Egypt. But even so, the Pharaoh was not intimidated by this huge amount of frogs in his country, and as so, he hardened his heart. The third thing, it was the lice, the third plague. The Egyptians, they really cared about their aesthetics. So they really care about their beauty, how they will look, and what the Lord made to them is to start to appear a lot of lice. And even so, the heart of the Pharaoh was hardened. The fourth thing, it was flies. So the Lord infested Egypt with flies as the fourth plague. But even so, the Pharaoh, he still had a hard heart. The fifth was the livestock, which was their resource of food, like the cows, their animals. The Lord, he cursed them and they died. And even so, the Pharaoh still hardened his heart. The sixth, it was that he started to create boils among the Egyptians. They started to have these boils, and this was, I believe, was kind of really scary. But even so, Pharaoh, he hardened his heart and didn't want to let the Israelites to go. The seventh plague, it was hails. If you think about Egypt, is a desert, and as so is really rare terrain, and it's almost impossible to hail. But the Moses, with the power of God, caused to hail upon Egypt. And this was a demonstration that the God of Moses had power even over the weather. The eighth, it was the locusts, those giant insects. They came and they harvested everything. But even so, the Pharaoh had a hard heart and didn't let the Israelites to go. The ninth, it was the Lord caused a huge darkness. And if you think about the god of Egypt is Ra, which is the god of the sun. And when Moses, he caused the darkness among the country, it was a symbolism showing that the God of Moses was stronger than their main god, which was Ra. And finally, the only way that Moses was able to free his people was through the 10th plague, which was the death of the firstborn. And here, the firstborn of the Pharaoh died. And because he died, the Pharaoh finally, he opened his heart to the God of Moses, and he freed the Israelites. What can we learn about this story? Personally, for me, what I can learn about this story of the 10 plagues and how the Pharaoh, he was always advised to let the people of Israelites to live, but because he didn't believe, because he had a hard heart, because he didn't believe that the God of Moses had that power, and because he was stubborn, he caused a lot of pain, not only in himself, but through the whole country. And taking this back to me, what I can learn from this story is that sometimes when bad things happen to us, when we feel like that we are cursed, like I believe it happened to you, having one of those days that everything just goes wrong and you're like, man, it looks like I'm cursed. And sometimes maybe it's the Lord that is trying to tell us something. You know, Satan, he's really wise, and he knows that we as humans, we don't like pain and we don't like sorrow. So what does Satan does to us is when bad things happens to us, he tries to push us to go against God, to blame God for the pain and for the sorrow that we are feeling, not giving us space to ponder, why is this happening in my life? And when I look back to my young life, and although I don't have many years on this earth, I can surely see examples where sometimes things went wrong with my life because I was not completely being obedient to the Lord. I was not loving my neighbor. I was not forgiving my neighbor. I was not trying to think about others, serving others, and be a true Christian, because Christianity is not about ourselves just going to church and thinking about our own spirituality. It certainly has a part where we focus about ourselves and we express love to ourselves and we care about our spirituality, but Christianity requires us to go and to love others, to serve others, and to forgive others. And when we follow the teachings of Jesus, we definitely improve our life. The second thing that I noticed is that the 10th plague was the death of the firstborn. And if you think about Jesus Christ, he is the firstborn of the Father. And only through the death of the firstborn, the heart of the Pharaoh was changed. And I think this has kind of like a symbolism, because thanks to the death of Jesus Christ, to his sacrifice for us, through his atonement, which is the power to help us to turn ourselves into new creatures, God, he can literally change our heart. He can make us a new creature. And I see this as a forecast kind of thing, showing on the scriptures that it's sometimes for us as humans, we by nature, we have little faith. We know in the New Testament, when a lot of things happen, when the apostles, they didn't believe, like the example of Peter when he was walking on water, and while he was believing Jesus Christ, he was able to walk on water, but as soon as he started to doubt, he started to sink. I believe that we as humans, we have that nature of doubting, because it's normal, because we focus too much on mortal things in our own mortal existence. But spirituality and Jesus, he turned us not to mortality. He turned us to the celestial kingdom, to heaven, to where Heavenly Father lives, to have a celestial perspective. And sometimes only the death of Jesus Christ and his atonement can make us recognize that he lives and changes. So yeah, guys, this is what I could learn about this Moses story. Next week we're going to be talking about the whole way of their traveling outside of Egypt, being able to go to the promised land, which is a great story where we'll learn a lot again about symbolisms, about Jesus Christ, about teachings that really can bless our lives and makes us more wise as followers of Jesus Christ. So yeah, if you like this video, please put the like button on it, subscribe, and hit on the ring bell so when a new video comes, you are notified by it and you can be one of the first to watch. Also, I ask you to comment here in the comments below, what did you think about this story? And what did you learn about the 10 plagues? What did you learn about Moses? And yeah, I want to know everything about what you're studying, what you're learning with the Old Testament. And that will be great for our community to be able to say things that probably I missed here. You know, there's a lot of things that I'm not able to put on this video, otherwise this video will be 1 hour. So if you have things that you like to add on, curiosities, feel free and share here on the comments below. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for one more week for watching, and have a great week. See ya. Bye.